everyone, welcome to another process video from me, just showing you all the little bits and pieces that I'm using for this layout today. This is a layout made with the kit from Mr. Fox, or I should say the kit from scrapyourstash.com, and it is called Mr. Fox. So I do apologize that I actually made this layout a few weeks ago and did the voiceover and everything on quite a few of them, and they have disappeared. So my computer has had a glitch and I lost the voiceover component for most of my process videos. So hopefully, it's always a little bit harder to do the voiceovers when it has been weeks since you've actually done the layout. So please forgive me if it looks like I have no idea what I'm talking about on my own layout. So, but you guys are wonderful, so, and forgiveness runs deep, so I'm sure that we will be fine. So I've just showed you all the little bits and pieces that I'm using, and this is a piece of paper from Basic Grey called Life of the Party, or actually it's called Nostalgia, and it is from Life of the Party collection, and that yellow is from the Second City collection from Basic Grey called Fullerton. So I have just gutted out the centre of the brown piece and have used the piece that I've gutted out, and I'm going to use that as matting on this layout. So I've also used a whole heap of Project Life cards from different collections, different people that I have just collected them from and put them all together in colour coordinated piles. So I'm not exactly sure who they are all from, but I'm using the 6x6 paper pad from the Basic Grey Second City collection as well. And so at the moment I am just using the 6x6 pieces of paper and pulling out some of the Project Life cards and seeing what I can do. So as I've mentioned before, usually when I do my layouts I have no idea in mind what I'm going to do. So the only thing that I usually know what I want is the certain colour and the photo. So they're usually the only two things that I've planned out, is the colours and so the collections, and then once I sit down to scrapbook, anything can happen. So it's probably why I take a long time to scrapbook, and I enjoy taking a long time, and I enjoy just seeing a blank canvas and then the page just happening before my eyes, so to speak. So you'll see at this stage there's lots of putting things on, taking things off, and because what I'm doing is just seeing what's going to work for me and what's not. So I've got a little collection of die cuts to the side, and they are die cuts from different manufacturers, and also ones that I've made myself using stamps. So things that I've stamped on different colours of paper and I've cut out at some stage and just put them to the side to use when I want to use them. So I've just got a little tin lid there, so some of those collections I keep in old tins that I've had biscuits or chocolates in, and I use those to house some of my embellishments. So those love hearts there, they are from October Afternoon and the Daily Flash collection, and they are gorgeous chipboard wooden floor look love hearts. So they were really cute and they were a nice size, so I want to incorporate them. And I've also pulled out some of the stickers from the Basic Grey Kelly Perky collection as well, and I also used some of the chipboard pieces from that same collection. So here I'm starting to layer some pieces underneath and starting to stick that cluster together. So I sort of lay everything down and then I start to stick from the top, working my way backwards, if that makes any sense. So it probably makes sense to actually stick from the bottom and work your way up to the top, but that's not how I seem to do it, but that's okay. It works for me. This way, I think what I'm thinking is that as I stick it down the way I am now, I'm actually still able to move the main piece around the page, so that no matter how big I get the cluster or the photo mat, depending on how big I get it, depends on where I want to place it onto the layout itself. Because I tend to like putting my layouts, you'd probably notice already, to the bottom right hand corner, off balanced a little bit, not centered in the middle. And so when I can get an idea of how far I want to build around the mat, depends on where I'm actually going to stick it down. So, but at the moment, that's obviously where I'm going to put it, because I've committed to sticking that main dark brown photo mat, and now I'm just building up all the different areas around the photo and doing the little embellishing with all the ephemera and putting all the finishing touches on. So that little circle piece there, that was a die cut from Amy Tangerine in one of her first collections, I think it was. So I've just tucked that behind on the right hand side there, and I'm just looking at that sticker sheet and seeing if there's anything that I can add. And so I pull things off, lay them down, decide that I don't want to use them. And even this little arrow here, I'm putting it on some foam tape to give it a little bit of dimension, but I actually don't use that on the layout at all. So, but this photo is taken of my daughter, and that was her 18th birthday, and she had lots of things planned around her birthday weekend, and it was my day off work and it was her day off work, so we went out for lunch together at one of our favourite little cafes in town, and we had a nice day together. So she is 18, which means that I'm getting older, and I wonder how I've got an 18-year-old child, but she's not a child anymore, how I've got an 18-year-old young adult, and I don't feel like I'm old, except when I look in the mirror, then I reality check says, yep, I am getting older. But it is a nice phase of life too, where they are a little bit more dependent independent, I should say, and not so dependent on me. And it's a lovely time of life as well. So it's nice to have that relationship with her where we can hang together and enjoy each other's company. So she's laughing lots in this photo, as she usually does, laughing at something that I'm telling her, and yeah, it's just a beautiful time together. But anyway, back to the layout. So it's pretty self-explanatory, just building up clusters, building up areas. I'm looking, and I wanted to add some more to that top left corner, and I found a little piece of vellum and a vellum die cut, and I've added that, but I moved that along a little bit. That's it, and tuck that behind there. I need to cut it down a little bit so that it fits, and looking to see whether I can place that vellum elsewhere. So if I put a bit at the top, I like to balance it and put a little bit at the bottom, and I'm desperate to use those little square frames. I've pulled them out to use on a few different layouts, but I don't quite make it work yet, but I do down the track on another layout to come, which the process video hasn't come yet, but you'll see those little yellow frames. And so here I'm pretty happy with the clustered areas, and I'm just looking through my little containers that have some flair and some buttons, and I'm just adding a few little buttons now to give it a little bit of dimension and a little bit of different texture to the page. So I've got a few little different heights going on with some flat elements and some elements that are built up on foam and some chipboard pieces, and now the buttons. So that yellow gem is from Glitz Design, and that's a gorgeous little, it's got like a star pattern inside, almost like a snowflake inside the little round gem. And those buttons were from, I think some of them were from Kaisercraft, and the smaller ones were from October Afternoon in one of their button collections. And I'm just looking to see whether I want to commit to those things, and I am, so I'm putting them down, and I end up pulling out the glossy accents to stick the buttons down so that they're permanent. Perhaps that's what I'm doing now. I think I'm just fiddling with the button placement. And that little chipboard piece there was from the Kelly Purkey collection that has photographed on it and has the chipboard heart on it as well. So that gives another little bit of dimension. They were gorgeous love hearts in that little pack, and they came with all sorts of different colours, so they were really versatile and have been able to use them for lots of different projects. So there I am with the glossy accents. I know that once things are stuck with glossy accents that they aren't going to move, they're going to be stuck permanently in the album. So just sticking that down and then having a bit of a look. I notice that I tap my fingers a lot when I'm thinking, and I'd like to add a little bit more up the top there. So I've grabbed a piece of the grey paper, and I'm going to add a little bit of grey to the top and a little bit of grey to the bottom. So I stick that on, but it's a little bit wide and there's already lots of sticky underneath, so I've just got to trim that down a little bit so that that will fit under there nicely. All about the layering and adding lots of visual interest to the page and lots of contrasting colours and just giving your eye lots of different places to look at on the page. So that's pretty much done. Packing up my bits and pieces and ready to put the black ink. So black ink is when I'm finished, and I'm going to add that, and then I will show you some stills at the end and some close-ups. So thank you very much for joining me today, and once again I thank you for all of your lovely comments and for subscribing and just for the support that you give, and you make it just fun to do the process videos for you. So I hope you enjoy the stills, and I will see you next time. Bye!